and I was so angry.
And it changes everything that you've processed and the way you processed it.
I was proper Taylor Swift and then some. And she was like, I'm going to challenge you on something. When you're ready to do it, start praying for your ex.
This is Salt's YouTube. I'm Lauren Windle, and this is Tanya.
Hi.
Back again. We're chatting about
breakups.
There's the Amy Winehouse, right? There's the I cried for you on the kitchen floor. I did everything you're not supposed to do. I took the unhealthy route. Then there's the Taylor Swift. You made me angry. I'm coming for you. You won't take me down. I'm gonna release some information about you that you're not going to enjoy through the medium of song. Last one, there's the Adele.
Ooh.
The wallower, the deep thinker, the one who just feels it all through every pore and then emerges like a phoenix from the ashes, stronger and better than ever. Where are you?
I'd love to just go straight to Adele. I'd love to be Adele. I actually feel like I'm an amalgamation of all of them.
I'm a total Winehouse.
Oh, good. It's not just me.
I'm a total Winehouse. Like, my big breakup, I stayed in bed for 2 months. Big time. In my mum's bed, not even my bed, my mum's bed. And I watched 8 episodes of NCIS back to back a day.
Ooh. Yeah. Mood.
Yeah. So that's it. I just really let it seep into every pore.
My big breakup, I went exceptionally adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
Like, I went extreme sports every day.
Did you bungee jump?
No, I just jumped off a cliff, like, into the sea.
Okay, yeah.
Not just a random.
All right, so you just went full on, let's just live every high to the fullest.
And had to be around people all the time. Go, do. Cannot be alone. And that was my kind of vibe.
So, within those moments, do you remember things that people said or did for you that were like really good or massively unhelpful?
Yeah, it was people that just dismissed how you felt, particularly my family. My parents were like, yeah, you need to be over this now. Like, get over it. It happens to everyone.
I've written a list.
Okay.
I've written a list of 10 things that people did for me during my last breakup, and we're going to talk about them. And I've started with the least helpful.
Okay.
And we'll go to the most helpful. All of these people think they're being helpful.
Yeah.
Right. Number 1, telling me stories of people who broke up and got back together. I clung on to it. I was like, particularly in a Christian sense. 2 people said to me like, oh, but, are you sure that's for certain? Because, my cousin, her boyfriend broke up with her, and then he just realised how crazy that was, and he just came running back, and now they're married with 3 kids. They're always married with 3 kids, But then you're like, oh yeah, that does happen. Maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is part of our story.
Yeah, and it's really unfair because it gives you that kind of false hope, and you want to hear it.
Yeah.
He'll realise what he's done. Was the addition to that which made me go, oh yeah, and I wanted to hear it, but it wasn't helpful for me to get over.
Yeah, that's the thing. What you're working towards is moving on, not restoring the broken relationship, because if you've been broken up with, they probably don't want to do that. A close second.
Okay.
Asking how long you were together is number 2. Number 3, suggesting drinking a lot of wine. It's a funny one. Okay, I didn't play very nicely with my toys when it came to alcohol, so I don't get to play with it at all anymore. But I do see how people who aren't in an addicted space, as a one-off, you've had a really rubbish, day. So you sit down with a girlfriend and drink a bottle of wine. And I don't think that is the worst thing you can do or pure evil. I think if you're doing it every day, then that is super unhelpful.
I think you have to be in check with how much you do that. And also, if somebody's your close friend and they're going for a breakup, just checking in with their normal habits.
Yes.
So I didn't eat for ages.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot of my friends didn't after bad breakups. Yeah. Sleeping habits, stuff like that, and just checking.
Are they exercising? Are they getting outside? Are they going for walks? Are they drinking enough water? We're going to come back to that a little bit. I think. Okay, so number 4, encouraging me to get back out there. Okay, so a Christian PG version of, you know, get over him by getting under someone else, you know.
I had my non-Christian friends suggesting the non-Christian version of that.
Sure, yeah. There's all kinds of options that get thrown around.
Absolutely.
I think, so there have been times where I've come straight out of a really difficult breakup and started dating someone else. And I think it was a big mistake.
Yeah.
Because that person, or there's two people I can actually think of who were great, but my mindset wasn't in the right place to truly give that relationship a chance to grow.
It's so unfair on that other person.
It's not fair, is it? And I didn't realise that at the time, and I thought, actually, oh, how great would it be if in a month's time I'm, you know, really settled with this guy instead. But actually, if you haven't given yourself the time to process, even if you don't realise.
Yeah. I remember sort of doing a similar thing where I dated this lovely guy who was so nice. And in another time, it probably would have been great, but it was so unfair on him to do that, and I'm really sorry.
It's just like confession time, isn't it? So number 5, asking if I'm sure I don't want to be with him. Now this is a slightly different context. So when I have been the one doing the breakup, and obviously it's so difficult making that decision, particularly when someone is great and it's literally, there's nothing wrong with them, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to be with them, it's just that you haven't managed to find that connection, you know, and that happens.
Yeah, it does.
And actually I will then call it off with someone, and but my mum's awful at this. She's like, are you sure you can't really try? As if I wasn't trying. It's like, it's already been difficult enough to make that decision. I don't need you coming in retrospectively being like, maybe that wasn't right, you know? Okay, so this is number 6. So we're now like, we're halfway down. So we're getting into the realms of like vaguely helpful. Yeah. So I'd say this isn't super helpful, but sometimes I quite like it. And that's when they're like, he's obviously an idiot.
Yeah. If you've been the one that's been broken up with and you had that person on a bit of a pedestal, and that's at the beginning, that's really hard to hear anybody criticizing them. I remember being like, no, he's not like that. Like, how dare you?
I'll never find anyone like him again.
Woe is me. But then I moved to a stage where, in order to move from that place of having that person up there, I had to almost go the other way and be like...
And recognise their faults.
And then when somebody said, what an idiot, I really made me angry when they did that.
Yeah.
I needed to hear that.
Yeah. It almost feels like someone's in it with you with the anger.
Yeah.
And it's quite nice, like...
But they have to know where you are. Because if that comes at the wrong time,
it can actually be upsetting. Yeah, so that's why that one's kind of middling. Like, could be great, probably not a super healthy response, but pick your timing right and that could be suitable.
We bang on.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Okay, number 7. So we're in the realms of like genuinely helpful now. Writing me cards and letters.
Ooh.
Loads of people did that for me. Yeah.
I didn't get any.
No, I got a lot.
Really?
People, yeah, like one person sent me a card. I can still picture the cover of it, and it says, it's like a Barbie sitting at a computer, and it says she googled her symptoms and she just needed everyone to F off. And I was like, I do think I feel that way, you know, very accurate. Number 8, this is quite niche and only one person's ever done this for me, but it was so helpful. Giving me a daily to-do list. I was in that point where, like we were saying earlier, you're not really functioning and you kind of need someone to you need someone to just swoop in and be like, here's your dinner and here's what you're doing and go for a walk now and get up and go to work. And her to-do list was, make sure you're drinking enough water, make sure you get to bed before like 10:30, and even if you're just lying there, read the Psalms, read a psalm a day and like rest in that, and speak to one good friend a day and get out the house once a day. They were her 5 things.
I like that. Now, is this friend a really close friend?
Yes.
Yeah. So I feel like that's an important thing to need. It needs to be somebody that you know is for you, because if someone does that, like it can seem that you don't know that well. It could seem like you need to do this and this and this and this.
Yeah, no one wants to hear what they should do.
Yeah.
But for a friend, like, here's your daily to-do list. I love you. do this and you'll feel better, was really, I didn't always do it, but it was really helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9, praying with or for me.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
It's so good.
Yeah, 100%. There was one friend of mine, I'm going to get emotional. One friend
We've got tissues.
Oh, thank you. I'm okay. I'll hold it together.
Where did we put the tissues?
I can cry on cue if you need.
She's an actress. She can cry on cue.
Thank you. Oh, I was like in church, and I had a breakup during my big breakup happened during the pandemic. So it was like people couldn't come up and touch you, but my friend like looked at me and was like, didn't even ask, even though it was a pandemic. I was streaming in tears, and he just went like put his hand on my shoulder and started praying for me, and he started crying with me as well. And I just remember feeling like that was almost like a representation of how like God weeps with us.
All right, last thing, definitely the best thing, most helpful thing that someone did for me, and that was show up. And I know that in recent times it's been pandemic and you can't just show up for people necessarily, but actually
you can
legally, if you can show up, or if it's like on Zoom or whatever, or one friend just knocked on my door and sat on my doorstep, actually showing up. And I do think a breakup and heartbreak is in the same category as grief, and I recognise that bereavement is
it's a different kind of grief.
And we're not talking about something that's necessarily sort of life-changing in the same way, but I do think it's a kind of grief. And when someone's grieving something like a bereavement, you show up. You just turn up. You put the kettle on, you sit on their doorstep, you bring a lasagna, and to a certain extent I think that that's what people need when they're in a breakup.
Absolutely.
Just show up. Just show that you care about them, that they're supported, that they're in community.
Mm.
It's not so much like asking what the person needs, but kind of just being around them and discerning it. Because if someone says to me like, how can I help? I'd be like, no, I'm fine. If someone says, I'm bringing you this,
let's go and do this.
I'd be like, okay.
you know? Yeah, absolutely. I have a very challenging thing, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. That my friend challenged me with, but it has to be a very specific part of a breakup.
Oh, I love it when people throw things back to me. Okay, go on.
So I was going through a very bad breakup, and then sort of 5-6 months later, I was sort of over it, but I found out news that he cheated on me during our relationship. So it was a bit of a taken straight back.
No, that's not cool.
No, it's not cool.
Yeah.
Don't like that. But I was taken straight back to that place of like grief and anger, and I was so angry.
It changes everything that you've processed and the way you processed it.
I was proper Taylor Swift and then some.
Great, good.
Really angry. I've never been that angry before in my life. And a friend who was one of those friends that showed up, that was there all the time, said to me, do you know what, and she's a Christian, and she's like, I'm going to challenge you on something. When you're ready to do it, start praying for your ex. Not just praying for them, but start praying that they might have all of their dreams come true, which is massive. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Why would I do that? He cheated on me. I'm so angry.
No one's looking to hear that right now, Julie.
Yeah, honestly. But she said it in a way that she knew that there would be a time for me to do that. And there was a time, literally a few days after that, because it's been like 5-6 months since the breakup, where I was driving home on my motorbike, because I'm cool. And I just remember pulling into the side of the road.
In leathers,
full helmet. Like a chick moment, and I was literally positioned like this, with my head, with my helmet on, against the handlebars, like, right, I'm gonna pray for this guy to have everything that he's ever wanted. And I started like naming them out loud, and oh my god, it's the most difficult prayer I've ever prayed, and my like eyes were just streaming with tears, and I was like, I don't want to pray it, but I'm gonna, and I did it, and there was a massive release. It's definitely for a very specific moment. If it's helpful to somebody, do it.
I think your friend was probably bang on. How awful is that? Not awful, brilliant, but also like...
But how biblical is that? Like, pray for those who persecute you. If you've been like dishonoured majorly by somebody in a breakup, then ultimately that's a good thing to do to make it more Christ-like and less fleshly. but it's hard.
So the breakup that I'm referring to here, which was a little while ago, at Christmas, he got engaged to a friend of his who I did know when we were together, and I didn't realise they were seeing each other until I saw the engagement announcement. So it hit me reasonably hard, right? And it kind of brings you back to that place of breakup. Like you say, you're like, okay, wow, this is really difficult to deal with. And what I did was I cried, and I called my friend and cried, and it was really because... And I said like how hurt I felt and how painful that was, and I was questioning a few things about when we were actually together, and it was really rubbish because I was in lockdown because I had I was quarantining for 10 days, and I was like 5 days in, so I couldn't go and see anyone, I couldn't get out, it was just me and my thoughts, and I like got it all out, I vented, and then I just prayed a blessing over their marriage.
Well done.
Unfollowed all of them on Instagram. And moved on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I like it would be awful if they had a terrible marriage. Like if they have found something that we didn't have together, I want that to be great for them. I just don't want to be any part of it or anywhere near it.
And that's absolutely fine. God's not asking you to be, but it's so powerful.
Yeah,
like that is so like what Jesus would do. Like just like that's so.
It's not easy though. Doing what Jesus would do is really, really swear word hard. Tanya, always a pleasure to have you. If you've liked what you've seen, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got plenty more from Soul.